Once the set of a 1980s musical, built in 1979 and then abandoned for many years, and the film starred Robin Williams and Shelley Duvall. Can you guess what it is yet? It took 4 months to build, based on the comic strip books by E.C. Cigar and the fictional village of Sweet Haven. In 2023, it was damaged by a cyclone when a huge boulder fell from the rocks above, but nobody was injured. The film set is now open, as you can see, for many, many tourists. So we're going to go and explore today.
Let's go explore.
We're actually visiting out of season, so you can actually get an off-season ticket for €15 each. In season, it's €25, but that's still pretty good value because, as you're about to see today, it's not just a living museum of a once abandoned movie set. It's also quite a good day out. For instance, you get access to the cinema, you get free popcorn, and you can even get 2 free postcards from the general store with your ticket. You can see why it took 4 months to build. Absolutely loads of buildings and the huge street. Walked the full length of the street, so now we're going to actually go inside some of the buildings. Some have been turned into museums and some are just purely ornamental still. So it turns out that the silversmith is actually a silversmith, unlike some of the buildings which are obviously just pretend, which was quite nice looking at all the handmade pieces of jewellery. Johnny is just pointing out to me that there is a whole museum also about the history of the film that we are obviously visiting, which we will get to in a bit. I'm sure some of you have seen some clues along the way. We decided to come back to the museum in a little while, and we wanted to head up to the end of the street to see a certain character's house or guest house, which no doubt will definitely give away to you all where we are if you haven't guessed already. It's amazing to think that everything that you are seeing today, just like we are, is as it was basically left when the movie set was abandoned for several years. And other than a little bit of cleaning up and then a few areas that they've obviously geared now to make it into a day out, such as the water sports section and the sunbathing section down by the bay, it is all pretty much as it was left, and it really is movie magic how some of the props have been made or found. As I'm about to show you later, some are genuine antiques and some have obviously been made. Are you gonna have some cake? We then decided to go look at some of the empty buildings, as in some of the buildings on the street are just for show, and so at a later date what they've done is sort of add games and things for children if you're bringing your family for the day out, and then also made this whole sunbathing area because the scenery from the bay itself is actually very lovely, and you can see the breaker that they had to make to should protect the village. There's just lots of nice sunbeds for if you want to just come and hang out for the day, because as you'll see as we are walking around, there are lots of bars, there's a sushi place, there's an ice cream parlour, so it really is quite a cool day out all round. Obviously, because it is now a little bit of a tourist destination here, have you guessed where yet? I will say it at the end. They've also done some areas out to appeal to the family, so you saw a few games in one of the buildings, and then they've got this whole area where you could come and do some sunbathing if you wanted for the day, or take a little boat trip. But it's quite nice, and it has probably one of the nicest views in Malta of Anchor Bay. As well as a water sports centre down at the bottom in the bay, what they also have are the boat trips, as I just mentioned, and apparently they go to some nearby sea caves. They've got this little bowling section, even more games, and a few photo opportunities, which definitely now give away where we are. Get in that cage. So Johnny likes to pretend that he doesn't like a photo opportunity, but actually I think it's quite obvious by now that he does. We then spent a little longer exploring the remaining buildings and houses that we had not been in, such as the dental clinic, the bakery, the post office, which I am about to show you, but not before stopping off at the mayor's office for a little bit of mischief. A lot of the music that you are hearing today is actually the ambient music from the movie set, as they were really trying to create a setting and a mood of a little sailor village or town. Hello. So a lot of the props are real and have actually been searched for, but some, with the movie magic, have obviously been produced to look old, but many of them are actually old antiques. After that, we thought it was finally time to visit the museum about the foundations of the movie, which was obviously the comic book by E.C. Cigar. And inside, some of the first drawings of the character behind the film.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our engagement. Follow Captain Pluto to the oil house.
Some of the first drawings in it of the Popeye cartoon character. I said earlier that I was going to show you what the rest of downtown Sweethaven had to offer, or rather, the rest of the buildings on Main Street. So here they are, with a few of the best vantage points of the entire street and village. After climbing to the top of some of the highest vantage points in Sweethaven, I could see that Johnny looked a little bit thirsty down on the ground, so I had a quick stop off at one more vantage point. But then it was time to go to the Sweethaven watering hole. Get in them stocks. Go on, that's where I'd like you to stay, in there. We then enjoyed a nice, cold, refreshing drink, as it was a very warm day, at this little pier on the end looking down into the bay, before having a last little explore of the bay area and looking at the boat launching ramp, which is a big feature in the movie, before actually thinking it was time to head to the movies, since there is actually a little cinema in the Sweethaven movie town. And what better than to be showing actual clips from the movie so that you can make the movie set come to life, along with the behind the scenes making of the movie documentary. You may also have noticed earlier we actually passed a little cinema up at the top of the village too, which had loads of movie posters outside that were all of Robin Williams movies, because that is a separate little cinema that you can also go to throughout the day, playing all different movies featuring Robin Williams, which was to honour the late Robin Williams. It was here that we cashed in our popcorn stub on our ticket. You can choose sweet or salted popcorn. You can go enjoy the documentary, which really tells you about the background of the making of the movie, the making of the village, and even the foundations of, yes, Popeye himself, and how he would often find himself in the boxing ring, which was the only place we had not yet been in the village. As Popeye and Bluto were notoriously always fighting over olive oil, there was a whole other building that was obviously one of the sets for the movie, but they chose to also use it as an area to commemorate the movie in photographs as well, along with the theme music for the movie, some of which was written by Harry Nilsson. All in all, I think they've done a really good job of creating a day out from what was once an abandoned movie set and is now just like a living movie set museum with loads of little extra things to do, including their own cinema and popcorn included in the price. I'll see you all in the next video. We've got lots based here in Malta. Thanks for exploring with me today. Bye.